Recording in progress. Okay, all right. Thank you for your patience. Sorry, there's a kind of a my dad was running late. I'm trying to teach a class on Zoom, and he's texting me constantly, like, "What are we doing for dinner?" I'm like, seriously, you expect me to feed you? I'm like, I appreciate you coming over to watch my child, but you could have told me this before. It was like, well, okay, I'm gonna go to Panda Express. What do you want? What can you want? Do you want noodles? You want rice? I'm trying to teach a class, and I'm like, you're never gonna get here on time. You're never gonna make it on time. But he did, and I had like 3 bites of orange chicken, and I'm good to go. Okay. All right. Just want to let you guys know, I have been going through I haven't posted any grades. Haven't gotten there yet. It's a lot to go through, downloading all those Illustrator files, opening them up one by one. But you guys are doing great. You guys are really good. I'm really happy with what I'm seeing. Like it feels like you're actually absorbing the material and getting the concept of paths and anchor points and color and things like that. So I'm gives me a lot of hope for this next project, which is going to be a lot more complicated than um than the past project. It's going to take, this one's going to take a lot of time. You need to we're probably next week going to have I'll do a little bit of lecture, but we'll spend a lot of time in class working on these maps. So let's take a look at let me share let's take a look. I've posted a this is Intro to Map Project. Yes. Okay. So illustrative maps in general are just freaking fascinating. They're amazing. They're a way that we have figured out as human beings to take a huge span, maybe not so huge, I don't know. Maps can come in all shapes and sizes, and break it down into visual parts so that we can understand our location in the world. And designers of, cartographers that's the official word for map maker, someone who designs, plots out, and draws and designs a map as a cartographer. And you can look at some amazing historical examples of map making over the years. But there's also a genre of illustrative maps that may not be exactly perfectly to scale. They might be close, they might not. They might be more abstract, but it's designers' interpretation and how they choose their color palette, how they represent different pathways and objects and terrain and labels and legends and things like that. So you're going to be creating a map, and it can be anything. You have wide range of creative possibilities here. You could do the whole world, or you could just do your bedroom. I don't care, just as long as you're representing space and objects and pathways and and this is also technically on the technical side of things. It's practice getting used to grouping objects together, organizing your file into layers, labeling those layers so that you don't get confused, locking them down, turning them on and off. Just getting comfortable working with a pretty complex file. Like a Illustrator map file is, can be kind of complex. So I've put some examples in here of some nicely designed layouts. This one's really interesting. It looks a little bit more to scale and specific to the train, but actually all these markers are fictitious. It refers to a book and all of the comings and goings, all the locations where things happen in the book in London. So your map can be as specific or as fictitious as you want it to be. You could do, if you want to do a realistic layout of campus or something, you can do that. If you want to do a map of your brain, okay, whatever that is to you, whatever that means to you, you could do something like that. So let's look at some others. This is just a really cute little map of an apple orchard, an apple farm. I don't know where, but I found it online, and I thought it was we're at good use of labels and symbols. We're going to learn how to use symbols today. So when you have a design like this apple or this tree, there's ways where we can take one version of that vector of that design, save it into a symbols library, and then use it over and over again on the artboard. And it's actually very efficient computationally because the computer doesn't have to remember all the vectors of every instance of that object. It just remembers the main one and refers back to it. So we're going to learn how to do that today. And this one has a nice little legend. This one is very abstract, this map of Paris. It doesn't have any labels or anything. I would like you, I would like you to include labels in yours, but I just think it's quite beautiful. The color palette is lovely, and you really get the sense of Paris because old European cities, you look at our cities today, we're a newer country, we've got nice straight grids because we kind of figured out city planning before we laid down all the roads and houses. This is going back to medieval times, and they're just like, okay, we'll put something else here, and now okay, we're going to put something else here, but there was no plan. So this organic structure evolves from that, and I love the word Paris down there, the way it's written out. This is just another really cute little one someone did. This probably doesn't actually represent anything in the world. It's probably just fictitious, but I just thought it was interesting that they put them into four, these organic ovally, circly kind of shapes, and the color palette is really nice. This is another example of where learning how to use objects. All these trees are exactly the same, so they probably created a tree object and then just plopped it in various places. Very simplified, but could be useful. And this is a neat one. Lots of custom illustrations here. I like the odd shapes of these little sort of text blobs. Those give it a lot of personality. They've got an interesting pattern going on in the background that kind of tells you it's grass, but it's not literally grass. It's really just like hash marks, which is interesting because it works, but grass doesn't actually look like that, but somehow we know it's grass. So I don't know, I thought it was so, you know, and look, do some research of your own. There's just so many interesting maps out there. One of my favorites is oh, I have to look for it. It's a really cool map. It's really old. Mississippi River. Alluvial plain map. Is this it? I don't know about this. Where is it? Yeah, it's right here. Here we go. Okay, this is a really fascinating map. It's probably over 100 years old, but it's a map of the Mississippi River hasn't always gone in the same way over the years, you know, over the millions of years it's been around. Sometimes it's gone over here, sometimes it's gone over here, and someone actually went in. It's a very complicated map, and they've represented all of the different meanderings of the waterway over the centuries. It's just a really beautiful map. I like it. Let's see what the legend says. Yeah. Oh, well, whatever. Okay. So, few things we're gonna do today. We're going to go over brushes. I haven't done brushes yet. Patterns, how to make your own brushes, patterns. And I hopefully I won't take too much time with the lecture, and we will have time to actually start exploring how you would go about getting started on a project like this. So let's start with brushes. Let me open up a new. Great. Okay. So I'm going to take the pen tool here. I'm just going to make a curved line like so. Wait, I don't want any more. Okay. Just something simple like that. Okay, there is a brush. There's two ways to do it. There is a brush tool, or you can draw a path and apply a brush effect to that path. So we're going to do that first. So now I want to pull out right over here. You can go up to the window palette here and go down to brushes, or you can click on this. It looks like a jar with a bunch of brushes in it. It's like the fourth one down. Make sure you're in the Essentials Legacy workspace. I'm going to open that and drag it open. And basically there are 5 different types of brushes you can use. I mean, and that's not counting just the simple stroke. Okay, this is just a simple, basic, uniform line. Okay, and I can go to the strokes panel and I can increase the width of it and all of that. I'm going to pull this. I pull this out. Yeah, I'll pull it out so it doesn't disappear. We also have, there's a whole bunch of art brushes. So the second one down here if you hover over it, it says charcoal. So it's meant to be like a charcoal pencil. So I've applied that to this line, and it has a starting point and an ending point. And, you know, to see it a little bit better, I can increase the stroke size, and you can see all of the detail in that. And there are options with this. If I double click on it, I get this dialog box, and the width, right now it's a fixed width. You can also set it to pressure. So if you have a pressure sensitive tablet, you can set it to pressure. Stylus wheel, I've never actually used, or tilt. But usually fixed and pressure are the normal ones. And then I can adjust. Oh, preview's not on. Let me turn on preview. You can adjust the size numerically in here if you want to. So I brought it down to about 52%. And I get that. And right down here, it says direction. Right now it starts on the left and then kind of peters out on the right. I can switch that. So it's supposed to start on the other side. Wait. Huh, it's not doing it. It's not doing it. I'll come back to that. Oh, well, you can flip it too. That actually is more effective using the flip. You can flip it this way too if you want. So you can play around with it that way. There are other art swatches. If you click on this, no, it looks like they're all showing, not swatches, brushes. Where are all the other art brushes?
Oh, they're underneath that little book looking icon in the left hand.
That's right. Right here, it says brush libraries menu. That's what it is. So there's a whole library of brushes. So if I click on this now, I can see access to all kinds of different arrows. We looked at some arrows in another class. There's a lot more. Artistic, we have calligraphic, chalk, charcoal, pencil, ink, paintbrush, scroll pen, and water color. Let's look at the charcoal ones. Okay. So I've pulled this menu out, and we have a lot of different options here to play with.
I like the image brush library.
The what brush library? Image brush library is fun, yeah. So there's that nice, like a marker. If you want to get a marker effect, I'd use that. That one right there. Then we also have access to there's in the go away. In the most basic ones up at the top, there's like 6 of them here. There's one that is what we call calligraphic. So if you've ever done calligraphy, it means you're drawing with a pen that doesn't have a round point. It has a straight point, and you're supposed to use it at an angle to create thick and thin lines as you're drawing a letter form. So we've got this here, and it's a calligraphic brush. I'm going to double click on it, and I don't know if you can see, but I gotta make it large. I can change the angle of it right here. I can actually just drag in this box here and play with the angle of it. Let's make it a little bit larger so we can see. You can kind of see here that, let's go with, I'm going to make it even skinnier. So now see how one side is thicker than another side. So you can create your own calligraphic brushes. And anytime, if you want to make a brand new brush, there's a plus button right here, new brush. You can click on that and you can create your own brand new brush of any kind. Uniform, art, scatter, calligraphic, pattern, whatever you want. Okay, so it's calligraphic brushes. There are also what are known as bristle brushes. So you see this one here that has, it looks like a bullhorn. It's not actually a bullhorn. It's supposed to be the tip of a paintbrush,
So with a fan?
like a fan or a round, just a round something. These are very complicated brushes. If I click on this, it really goes to a lot of effort using transparency and layering and things like that to simulate an actual paintbrush. I'll zoom in, you can see, how much stuff is going on there. It's very complicated. You can use these that you can pull out and go into the library and look up all the different bristle brushes there are. I have to warn you though, if you use this a lot, you're gonna get a warning from Illustrator that's gonna slow down your file. It'll still work. You're just gonna have to be patient because whenever it has to generate a preview, it's got a lot of calculations to do, so it's gonna slow it down. So just fair warning with that. Bristle brushes, just the way it is. We also have pattern brushes. So the default one that comes up when you open the brushes panel is this one here. And if we zoom in and we look at it, we can see that there are just pieces of this image. It looks like denim with stitching or something like that, that are just welded together, and they are manipulated so that they follow the curve. And they are put together. Now these pattern brushes, you can create your own pattern brushes. It gets a little tricky because what happens if I have a shape that has corners, like a rectangle,
God.
and then I apply the pattern brush? Well, luckily, this pattern brush, if I double click on it, I can see that it already has defined corners. So whoever designed this pattern brush went to the trouble of designing not only the straightaway pieces, but what the corners are supposed to look like. So if you're creating your own pattern brush, you're gonna have to keep that in mind, that you've got to deal with the corners on that. But we can look at some of the pattern brushes.
Easy.
Where are they?
You can just go to image brush.
Image brush, right? Image brush library. You like the daisy one, huh? It's not really a whole lot of options here, but let's try.
There's a telephone cord if you're into that.
Oh, it only comes with the one daisy?
Yeah,
Oh,
long stem.
Yes, it is.
If you want more than one daisy, use more than one line.
Thing about that though is that like anyone who has ever used Illustrator and if you use that in your design, they're gonna be like, that's the daisy pattern brush in Illustrator. They didn't do that.
They also have a telephone, which is that spiral one.
Which doesn't have corners.
Nope.
Yeah. Okay. See, if you don't design the corners, you're gonna get this. We probably won't go into how to make your own custom pattern brushes. You can look it up on your own. I fully trust that you'll be able to figure it out. So it's a pattern brush. Another one that's kind of fun, that is fun to play around with customizing, is the scatter brush. And I don't see any here right now, so I'm going to go down to the library and decorative scatter. It's under decorative scatter. There's scatter brushes in other libraries as well, but let's just pull up. Oh yeah, I don't really like these so much, but yeah, these are just images, but I'll give you a sense. If I click on the star, I mean, this can be very helpful if you just, you want a bunch of random stars and you don't want to go to the effort of like drag, copy, paste, drag, copy, paste, drag, copy, you can do something like that. And if you double click on that brush, we can, no?
Huh.
Oh, every time I double click, I get a new random pattern. But where's the, oh, it's not gonna let me?
It worked when I double clicked. You
Got
have to go
the-
to the actual brush like history section, like the.
Do I
brushes
have to
you
have the brush
No.
tool?
If you can't use it in the library, if you go to the actual brushes section, it will show you brushes that you've used.
Right, yeah,
So
right
you have to
here.
double-click in there.
Oh, I see what you mean, yeah.
Library.
Why is that? That doesn't make any sense. Well, anyway, so we have all these options here where we can, the spacing is set to random. It could be fixed if you want it. I'm going to click preview so we can see what that looks like. So it's a little bit more fixed now. The scatter is fixed. So you can get something like this. If it's not such a random, you can have something more uniform. But the whole point of having a scatter brush is that it's scattered, right? Yeah,
It just looks so uniform and gross.
I know.
Ah, there's.
So I think that is the 5 different types of brushes. Now, I told you in the beginning, you can either apply them to a path that you've already created, or you can use the brush tool. So we have a brush tool. Where did it go?
Instead.
It's hiding somewhere. Oh, it's right here. Yeah, it's right here. So I can just, it's more not just like painting. So if it's not so great with a mouse or trackpad, but if you have a tablet, you can just draw and it'll create the path for you, and we can see it sort of tries to figure out where the best place for the anchor points are and lay them down that way. So we can, use the brush, or if I did something like that, I get a whole bunch of stars like that, fill that in there, fill that in there. Look at that, beautiful.
Double click just switches what brush you're using if you're not in the actual brush library.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So, in Canvas, I put um, a file if you want to follow along, if you feel, feel compelled. Let's see, the makebrushes.ai is no, it's just a file. I organize Canvas according to modules. So if you go to either modules or home, you'll see that I organize all the content by week by week. I know you guys usually skip over to assignments or skip over to pages or something like that. Just so you know, if you want to understand me and how I do it, I think in modules. So if you want to open this file, you can. I have it open. Where is it? Make brushes right here. Okay, make brushes. Okay, so I've got my paths already set here. So let's say I want to make a custom scatter brush out of this flower right here. Let me open up my brushes. Where did it go? It appeared. Okay, wait. Let me go here. Brushes, brushes. Okay. Okay. So there's, different ways to do this. I could hit new brush, or I could just take this image and drag it over into the brushes palette. And then I get this option. Do I want to make an art brush? I want to make a scatter brush, pattern brush. I'm gonna make a scatter brush and say okay. And then I get this dialog box right here. Why did okay. And I haven't applied it to anything yet. Maybe if I had had that path selected while I dragged the image into the palette, it would have applied. I didn't. But I'm gonna say right now size is fixed. All those stars in the last one were all the same size. I'm going to say random on the size as well. So I'm going to take 100% down to 66. I'm going to take, so that would be the smallest, and the largest would be 160. Okay. Spacing, I'm going to say random. And I'm just picking numbers here. I can come back and fix it later. I don't even know. Scatter random. Choose a smaller number, choose a larger number. And rotation, it doesn't really matter on this image because it's pretty symmetrical as it is. So I'm going to skip that. And I'm going to say okay. And then I'm going to click on the path and apply that brush that I just created. Yes, you can color it too. And then if I want to edit it, I just double click. Oh, I should have named it. Sorry. You should get in the habit of naming any kind of brushes or layers or anything that you create. Trust me, you'll thank me later. Let's bring the spacing down a bit, get them a little closer. That's better. Maybe not scatter them so much. I don't want them that big. So something like that. And then I'm going to say, okay, and it's going to ask me if I want to apply it to the stroke, and I'm going to say yes. And now I have created my own sketchup brush. And it's pretty cool because look, as I change the flowers don't change, it's just their frequency and their relation to each other that changes as I change the line. So you can really create interesting patterns with that. Okay. Art brush. Okay. If you wanted to make your own art brush. So I have this this vector graphic here. It's very complicated. It's supposed to look kind of like a stroke of watercolor. It's got some transparency and it's all grouped. Let's say I want to turn that into an art brush, not a scatter brush, an art brush. So I'm going to drag that into the brushes panel. And this time I'm going to choose art brush. I'm going to say, okay. And I'll say, I'll name it watercolory. And there's two different options here that are very different. We have scale proportionally, and we have stretch to fit stroke length. Okay, let's choose scale proportionally to begin with. I'm just going to click OK. I'm going to click on the path and choose it. And I get this really big blob, because it's scaling proportionally. Okay, let's double click on that and see what happens if I choose stretch to fit stroke length. Much different, right? And then I can change the width right here. I can, can play with that, make it thinner or thicker or whatever. So, it all depends on what you're doing, there's no right or wrong. And there are also these color modes here, colorization modes. So right now it's none. So I'm not going to be able to recolor this if I wanted to, but I can change that. I can turn none to hue shift, and yeah, okay, it turns it black, but I say, okay, apply to strokes. It's black because if you notice the stroke color here is black. But if I change the stroke color to something else, now I'm able to adjust the color. And you should be able to do that with scatter brushes too. We just didn't do it. So I can recolor it that way if I want. Let's do a different kind of brush. It's kind of like an art brush, but kind of behaves like an object. I've got this tree here. I'm going to use that as my base. I'm going to drag that into the brushes panel. Going to choose art brush. Let's say, okay. And in this case, we don't want scale proportionately. We don't want stretch to fit stroke length because that's just going to look funky. But we can do stretch between guides. I'm going to choose that. So all of a sudden now I have this sort of marquee around the preview of the image. And it's providing me with some guides. It usually assumes you're going from left to right, but we all know trees don't grow that way. So I'm going to switch it to this one right here. And then I can take these guides. Come on. Can't I? Maybe I can't. Wait. How come it's not working?
Oh, you have to manually do that?
Yeah.
The start and the end. Nons. If you adjust in start and end, right underneath that, the guides will change.
No, you shouldn't have to do that. I've done this before.
Maybe they made it harder because they hate people.
No, but that's not the guide I want to start and end should be, it should be up and down. Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. I just was grabbing the wrong ones. Yeah, you can click and drag. So there's these two guides here, and this is the 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 part of the image in between those two guides. That's the part that gets elongated. So I'm going to say okay. And then I'm going to take these lines right here. I'm going to apply the tree, and I get a tree that tall. I'm going to click on the other line, and I get a tree that tall. Because that's how trees grow. So yeah, so there's a whole lot of stuff you can do. You can do with, you can save yourself a lot of time if you have a very complicated design with, on these maps that you're making, you might have things that appear over and over again. You might want to consider, I could turn it on its side. That's fun. You might want to consider making a brush. Or maybe you want to use symbols. It's kind of similar, except we're dealing with the image one at a time, not a series along a path. So in Canvas, there is an AI file called symbol.ai, and I have it open here. I'm going to close this. Okay, so I've got this image. Oh, truck. It's missing a wheel in the back. Do I really want to go and like design that wheel all over again?
Go to a auto repair shop.
Hell no. And you might say, well, just copy and paste the wheel. And yeah, that's a possibility.
Gonna be teaching us about the whole.
I did that already, didn't
Mm.
I? We will do that in a second. But if you have something that you're going to be repeating a few times, maybe a few, maybe many, you can sort of design it once and then use it over and over again. But you can always go back to that original design, make a change, and it will change all of the other instances of the symbol of the object. So I'm going to go window and symbols. I'm opening up the symbols palette, and there's a bunch of junky ones in there. I could clear that out if I wanted to, but I'm not going to bother. So now I'm going to take this wheel. I'm going to drag it into the symbols. And then it's asking me some questions. What is it asking me? Movie clip? No. Graphic. Dynamic, I think, is what you want. And yeah, everything else is okay. All right. So now I have this window. So now I can always grab that wheel and drag it out and have another version of it. But also, since this one's already aligned nicely, I can do a drag and copy, and it will recognize that it's a symbol. So I'm going to drag and hold down Option or Alt. And now you see I have two versions of it. I'm going to hold down Shift so it stays in line. I'm going to drag it over here. I'm going to let it go. And boom. Now I have two of them the same. Now I could do something like double click on this one. And it's telling me you're about to edit a symbol definition. Any edits to the symbol will be applied to all its instances. Do you want to continue? Let's say okay. And it goes into like an isolation mode. So let's say I didn't want this shadow right here. I'm going to delete that shadow and then hit return. And now the shadow is deleted from the other instance of the object. Okay. I can also make an object out of the truck itself. So I just clicked and dragged to select the truck and the two wheels. I'm going to drag this over here. Then name it truck. It is a graphic and I want dynamic. I'm gonna say okay. And now I have I can make multiple versions of this truck. I can also, now I have objects sort of embedded in objects here. And I can add more objects to that. So I can copy this star graphic right here. I'm going to copy it. I'm going to go in here, double click, say okay, paste it. Paste it like right there, double click, and now let me move these out of the way. I've got more objects inside of objects inside of objects. So I can option click and make a few of these. How did I do that? Oh, magic. And then I could actually go in and let's say I wanted to make, I should have made that an object first. Let's make this an object. Let's make this an object. I don't know where I'm going with this. I'll just play in. Okay. I'm gonna swap this out. Gonna bring in this right here. And this one. Oh, it changed it on all of them. Okay. Never mind. I don't know what I'm doing. But anyway, I think you get the point. You can, I should have made that an object first before I placed it in there. So, okay. So yeah, so for your projects, you might have trees on your map, or little trees, or mountains, or goats, or cars, or people, or something like that. You can go in and you can still edit these. I mean, I just grabbed the direct selection tool. Wait, no, never mind. I did that wrong. Never mind. Any questions? Am I going too fast? It's okay. All right. So those are objetos. Objetos. Another tool I haven't gone over. I'm just kind of throwing stuff at you randomly, like things I think might come in handy for you. Putting together this complicated illustration. There's another brush tool that we haven't gone over called the blob brush. And I mean, it's a brush in the sense that you click and drag and it paints, but it works differently. The regular brush tool and the pencil tool as well, they are painting strokes. Okay, they're painting paths. They're creating lines. The blob brush is actually painting fill. So you can't really, it's painting fill, so you can actually add a stroke to it and things like that. Where is the blob brush? Yeah, it's hidden underneath the regular brush tool, the blob brush tool. And right now I need to have a fill color selected. And then I'm gonna turn off my stroke. And I'm just going to blah, bitty, blah. Just painty, paint, paint, paint. And I get something like that. And now if I click on it, you'll see it's a shape. It's not a line. There's no line going down the middle of these strokes that I painted. It's a shape. And you can do all sorts of things. So if I double click, you can either double click or you can hit enter. And I have some options here. So I can, control how accurate it's going to be, like how many anchor points it's going to add to the shape, or I could have it sort of really smooth it out. I'm going to go a little bit towards smooth. I can control the size. So now it's like that. The angle, I mean, that's more for like a calligraphic kind of effect. Roundness, you would need to control the roundness for the angle to really make a difference. I'm gonna say okay, and now I've got a very different kind of blobby brush thing. And notice that it adjusted because I cranked up the smoothness when I lifted the mouse, the cursor. It did some adjustments where it smoothed out the points, and now it's a shape. So
What's really fun is if you apply a gradient to that.
oh yeah, we haven't gotten into gradients yet. I don't think I'm gonna do it tonight. I gotta leave something for Tuesday.
It's two scatter brushes. I'm trying to figure that out.
I don't know. Go look it up.
I cannot apply a gradient to this file.
No, what you would do is you would use the blend tool. Yeah. Blend tool would do that.
Oh, no,
I've seen it done.
I'm saying one image to the next.
Uh-huh. Okay. One more thing with strokes and brushes. There's one more tool that you might find very helpful, and I posted an example file. It's called Width Strokes. It's in Canvas. Width Strokes. Go away, Zoom. You're so annoying. God.
bottom.
Where's with strokes?
It's in week 3.
I thought I had it open. Yeah, I do. Yeah, it's right here. Okay, here we go. Okay, so here we go. Look, a map. Let's take a look at this map for a second, because this could be kind of informative for us. And let's take a look at the layers panel and see how they have organized this. This is sort of a fictitious map of sorts. And look at, they've definitely organized it so that there's a background layer, and I can turn that on and off by clicking on the eyeball. It's locked down, so if I try to drag it, it's not going to move. There is, I don't know what this layer 1, oh, layer 1, they should have labeled that something other than layer 1. They should have said like streets or something like that. Let's do that right now. Double click on the name. The name is streets. I didn't spell that right.
Spelling isn't this class.
Hell no. Okay, so let's, this river right here is what I wanted. We can use this as an example to play around with the stroke width. So right now, it's just a stroke. If you go to preview mode, you can see it's just a simple path. It's not a shape. It's a stroke. And if we go to the strokes panel, we can see that it's set to about 108, 109 points. So it's pretty thick. A stroke does not have to be the same width at every point along the path. How do I demonstrate this? If we go to, I know, but there's another, wait, show options. Okay, there's some built-in width options that you can play with, but right over here, where is it? No,
It is underneath rotate.
underneath rotate, really? No, it's not. Oh, right here, right here.
Directly underneath.
Directly underneath it. Okay, yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah, it looks like a wiggly line. It does, yeah. If you click on that, then it follows the path, and you can make a point anywhere along that path, click and drag it out and expand the width. Just like, just like the pen tool, it's an anchor point, and you can control the width of it at that point. So I'm making different points along the way and making them smaller and larger, which, is more realistic to, what a river actually does, right? It's not always exactly the same width at every point. But if I wanted to make sure it just filled this space nicely, I could just keep doing this until,
Makes it real fun.
yeah, you can make some really interesting shapes. And I can go up and I can grab the direct selection tool, and I can you can play with it that way too. But I can just grab the arrow, can I? Wait. Oh, no. But this might be very helpful for if you're trying to make some, like if you have a river or something in your map and you want it to have a more organic feel to it rather than just a straight line. Some, like some maps are very organic and some are like, if you look at any kind of like public transportation map, like the New York subway system map is iconic for taking a really complicated outline of a city and simplifying it down into more straight lines. It's just got sort of straight lines and curves and colors. So it doesn't really represent accurately the topography of the city, but it works, like it communicates. This goes here, the red line goes over here, the blue line goes over here. It works. It's what we had before was really confusing because they were trying to absolutely be accurate with their the London what do they call the subway in London? It's not the metro, that's Paris. It's the underground. The London Underground map is really famous. I think they were the first to approach a map like that with a functional map like that with real simplification and minimalization, and it's been a success for years and years and years. It's a model of good design. So that's how that works. Was gonna go over patterns. Maybe we'll do that on Tuesday because I want to kind of walk you through, the first steps of creating some sort of map. If let's just say, for example, you're making a map based on real life, an actual topography. How would you get started? And I posted an article that's sort of a step-by-step guideline that some artists created on, what's the best way to go about approaching a complicated project like this? Like, what do you do first? What do you do second? What do you do third? And I just thought I'd walk you through, how I would do it. So let's say I wanted to make a map of, I need some sort of reference first. I'm not good enough spatially to just in my head come up with, like, don't even ask me to sketch out like my living room. I'll get it all wrong. Okay, I need I need a map. I need either photos or some sort of reference point. And yeah, we want to like redo our bathroom, and I'm like trying to sketch it out the other day, and I thought I had it, and then there's this big old gap between the bathtub and this cabinet. I'm like, what goes there? Absolutely nothing goes there. There is nothing there. Like, I just totally messed up the drawing because that's just my brain just doesn't work like that. So if we go to Google Maps, let's say, and maps, and let's say I want to make a map. We can make a map of campus, although Google Maps doesn't have all the buildings. Thanks, Google Maps. You're really helpful. Let me,
Let's go to satellite.
yeah, could do that. Let me just,
Different parts.
how about the town I grew up in, Selma, California. Okay, there is Selma, California. So do I want to do the whole town? Do I just want to do downtown? It would be kind of nice to have something. Let's do Hawaii. Yeah. Let's do an island. Let's do small island. Molokai. Do I really want to do this? I really gotta think this through, like, how much detail do I really want to include? Oahu is probably a better choice. Okay. Okay, I've got Oahu here. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. Okay. Got Oahu. I kind of want a detailed image and I can't fit it all in the screen. There are tricks to this. I'm gonna pull out my put on my web developer hat and cheat a little bit here and create a full screen.
Oh, no, they'll be able to get me.
I know, sorry. Create a full screen I'm trying to take a screenshot. Anyway, you can always take portions of screenshots and like piece them together if you need to. Screenshot. And I'll put that in downloads, save. Okay, all right. All right, we haven't gone over images yet, so I'm going to sort of broad stroke this on how to put an image. We haven't talked about resolution or linking and embedding images or anything like that. But this is just reference material. This isn't actually going to be part of my final design. So I'll just show you how you would add an image to Illustrator. Although it is a vector program, we can embed bitmap images. So I'm just going to go, I mean, one thing you can do is you just copy and paste an image. You can just drag an image in, but you know, officially file, menu, and then place. And now I'm going to go find that screenshot I just created. And I've got this like preview right here and like a weird looking cursor thing. So I'm just gonna click. And it's just gonna dump it on there. Wait, that's not what I wanted. The hell is that? Where's my dun 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 place? I just took a screenshot. I'm in desktop. Oh, it should be in downloads. Okay, all right. Got it. Okay, here we go. Click and drag. And it didn't do it. Because it's Google's. Yeah, because Google Maps doesn't scroll, it just resizes. Okay, so that was pointless. All right. Well, I have a portion of a map here. I can go back into Google Maps and scroll. Oops. Oh, I totally lost my and I could just like take a screenshot of the lower portion of the island. Okay, go into Illustrator and file, place, and I'll place, now this will actually be under desktop screen. Okay, and then I can kind of piece them together the way it should go. Resize this so it matches. Okay, that's not too bad. So I had to do 2 screenshots and put them together. I'm gonna go ahead and Command G and group those together. Gonna shrink them down so they fit on the artboard. Okay, so I have some reference material here. So I'm going to be basically tracing over this with my my terrain, my shapes, and things like that. So I want to control where everything goes. So I'm gonna pull out my layers palette here, and right now all I have is a layer with images. I'm gonna label this Google, and I want to lock it down because I don't want to be moving it out of place and having to realign it again over and over again. There's different ways to do this. I could just hit the lock, the icon, the empty space next to the eyeball right there is lock, so I could lock the layer that way. There's also a function, if you double click on it, there's right here, you have the option to lock it. You can also dim it. And sometimes this can be very helpful. So it's not going to be as bright. So I'll be able to see the shapes and the strokes better, the ones that I'm putting on top of it. So I'm going to say, okay. Okay, so now it's kind of dim. You might want to do that, you might not. It's totally up to you. So now I just get to work. So I've got to think about the different layers that I'm going to have. One of the layers I'm going to need is just basically the water, right? I'm going to do that last because it's just going to cover up my resource image. So I'm going to, over here, there's a plus sign right here that says create new layer. You can also click in this drop down right here and it says new layer. So I'm creating a new layer. I'm going to name it land. Okay. And now I get the fun task of pulling out my pen tool, or if you're on a tablet, you could use the pencil tool, and starting to build this this landmass here. Now for yours, like I said, your map can be as specific or fictitious or detailed or abstract as you want. So, you know, if you were doing this island here, you could get every little curve in there if you wanted to. If you wanted to simplify it, that's fine too. So I'm just going to I'm going to do a very simplified, I'm gonna have to come back and fix some of these later. Oh, you don't want to see me do this. This is gonna take forever. I'm gonna make a very simplified version of Oahu. La, 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 la. But you will be putting, more effort into I would, like if this were my class, I was a student, I would be spending a lot more time. But I just wanna, if I were actually teaching this class, I'm not actually a teacher. I killed your teacher and took over.
Unless we have
Right now. They kicked me out. Get my own Wi-Fi, damn it. Okay, this is very crude. Can be. These are not the best Beziers, but forgive me. I skipped an island, whatever. No one needed it. I'm skipping this bay. Can't do it. Can't handle it right now. Okay. Bring this shape. This is actually really fun. I don't do that much Adobe anymore. I do everything in code. I don't get to make shapes and stuff so much. And then one thing you might want to notice is that at the end, I don't just click on the opening point. I mean, if I did, I would get a corner point and that's fine. Maybe that's what you want. But I'm going to click and drag to make sure I have something smooth. Oh, I clicked and dragged the wrong direction. Okay. Okay. Okay, that's kind of weird. Let's do that again. Okay. All right. Okay, there's my shape. Not great. Should spend some time going back over it, but we don't want to be here till 9 o'clock. So there's my land. I'm gonna take that. I'm going to fill it. It's green right now. Sure, let's leave it green. And the only problem now is that I can't see the next level of detail that I need to represent. So I'm gonna go ahead and I could dim it, but I think it's gonna be hard with two dimmed layers to see everything. So I'm gonna turn it off. I'm gonna okay, turn it off. Okay, and then now I want to do some main arteries. So I'm gonna start. Oh, that's not what I wanted. Oh, I gotta make a new layer. So I'm gonna say highways. Okay, and start here, go here. Okay, anyway, you get the point. That's I only have one highway. You can only go to one place. That's it. And I'm gonna make this like a yellow and crank up the stroke. Okay, so if I turn my land back on, I can see there, it's starting to look like a map. I still have a long way to go. Like I still have smaller streets, you know. I haven't decided yet how detailed I want to be. You know, in this article that I posted, it's a really nice example of an illustrative map. Because it's if you look at the final product here, it's not about showing someone how to get around town. It's about the spirit of Seattle, you know, identifying the different, I mean, they've got some major highways, but that's it. And then they're identifying the different neighborhoods and they're including illustrations, you know, that have evoked the spirit of those neighborhoods and landmarks and things like that. So, you know, you'll have to think about what the spirit of your map is going to be like. I have a bunch of links to websites where you can download free vector graphics that I will post in Canvas. Sometimes it's easier to find little, you know, like, especially if you're like, for example, if like for me, like I'm doing a website and I need a series of icons, like I'm on a deadline. Lots of people have created really nice collections of icons that are out there free to use that are vector, and like if I find something I really like, I'm going to incorporate that into my, instead of spending all the time, unless I just can't find the pieces that I need, then I do it on my own. So I'll post that. You might, the only thing about that is that if you're finding, like here, I don't think they did that. I think the artist in this map right here actually designed out of the illustrations, because you could tell that they come from the same artist. That's the risk of finding free or paying for them, I don't know, vector graphics from those sources and using those. One might be designed by this artist, one might be designed by that artist. They're not gonna harmonize, you know, unless you can find a whole collection made by one person. That's, you know, that's ideal. But sometimes you know, you do need to create your own. So, you know, but this person probably got paid pretty well to make this map, you know. So, you know, by, you know, Seattle Chamber of Commerce or something like that. So, you know, it was worth it to them to go in and actually design all of those tiny little icons. But I'll post some resources for vector graphics that, you know, you can explore. Actually, Illustrator now has AI. I've been playing with it. It's crazy. It's really crazy. Like you can just say, draw me an eggplant. It will draw you an eggplant. You know, you can say, draw me an eggplant on top of a skyscraper. It will draw you an eggplant on top of the sky. It's really interesting. It's still beta. I mean, you can't do everything. Like I tried to get it to draw a donkey farting and it wouldn't do it. So you can't do everything. But then I asked it to draw a scene of a donkey and a tank. And it actually created a donkey tank. Like it was half donkey, half tank. Like the front was a donkey, the back was a tank. It's not really what I was going for, but that's how you interpret it. Okay, all right, cool. But if you want to play with it, you can, let me just, let's just, I'll show you right now. Uh, let's see. Okay, so the first thing you have to do if you want it to generate something is you have to draw a rectangle or some sort of shape. It could be a circle. It needs to fill it in. And then over on the side here under properties, it says right here, text to vector graphic, or you can click on generate down here in the context bar, but text to vector graphic. And then you have these options. You can either do a subject, which means just one isolated object. You can do a scene where it's an object in a background with the sky and I don't know, houses and lakes and whatever. It comes up with the scene for you. I haven't tried icon yet. I guess that would just be a more of a simplified uh image, and then you can create a pattern of images. So let's just do subject. So what do we want it to draw? Name something.
A bunny smoking a cigar.
Okay, bunny smoking. I don't know if it's gonna do that, but
It might be like, well, no cigars.
yeah, you know what's interesting is that not everyone has access to this. If you're like schools that have students under the age of 13, oh my God, it totally did. But the cigar,
Not smoking it at
it's
all.
not actually smoking it.
It's like a caterpillar or something.
Well, it gives you choices. Like there's also this one. Okay, that's better. Oh man, and then if I didn't like this, I could hit generate again and it'd give me three new ones. And crazy, right? I mean, I have the feel, I mean, what is this gonna do to design? I have a feeling that it's like this is one specific algorithm. If you run it over and over and over again, you're gonna start to recognize its style. And I think that over time, people will recognize, oh, that's AI, you know, because it's vector, you
If
know.
we zoom in enough, we could probably find something that indicates AI.
It's still pretty good. It's still, I mean, blew my mind.
Smoking a cigar.
I know. It's just crazy, but I don't know, just I don't
I
know.
don't know what you wanted to come up with.
I know, but you know what? What if you just wanted a pattern? Like you could just make a quick
Mushroom pattern.
mushrooms. Okay, we'll choose subject, not subject, but pattern. And we'll say, and you can go in and you can recolor these things and you can limit the color palette if you want to. But mushrooms.
Span the layers. It's insane.
Yeah, but
You can shrink those.
so I mean, you're welcome to play around with it, but just like I said, I think over time, over time, it's gonna become recognizable. And where is it? Oh, it did it on the stroke.
Strange.
Okay, there we go. So these are my mushrooms.
Does one of them have a tumor?
It's not, oh, we gotta click that. What's going on here?
I don't know, but one of them looks like it has a little tumor.
There's a tumor.
It's like a red one that's next to a bunch of brown ones.
I don't see it.
Okay, the cursor, move your cursor a little bit down.
Oh, right here.
No, a
No.
little bit more down.
Oh, it's just another mushroom behind it, I think.
A tumor.
Oh, yeah.
I think it.
The mushroom has a tumor. And this
When
one's
you
this
zoom
one's
in-
pretty funky looking.
When you zoom in, it gets real weird.
Yeah.
Like the one that looks like it's in like a gas mask. or like a bubble.
There's another one with the same tumor over here. Anyway, who knows where this is gonna take us as designers? When we get into Photoshop, Photoshop is doing some amazing AI stuff too. It's still new to me. I'm still researching it and learning about it. So we'll have fun with that when we get there. What did you?
I just put threatening octopus and look at. He has one leg more than octopuses have.
That's what's so
It's
threatening.
amazing.
Okay. So it's 7:39. I'll stick
Technically,
8:45. No.
technically,
Does anyone really want to go to 8:45?
no.
Okay, I didn't think so. I'll stick around if you want to start experimenting with the maps. I mean, maybe you're the kind of person that starts on with pen and pencil, and I totally think that's great. So, what?
You said pen and pencil.
Pen and pencil?
Paper's probably involved in that.
Did I say that? Okay, all right. Yeah, I just draw on anything. Right. And then on a Tuesday, I'll try to give you more time in class to work, but we still want to go over gradients, patterns, and I want to talk a little bit more about typography. But I'll try to give you plenty of time to work, so. Okay, I'm gonna stop recording. All right. Yeah.
It just keeps on recording until like 9.
I'm driving home. It's still recording.
And you're like, oh no.